Welcome back to the storage unit shop, everybody. In this video, we are transforming these ugly, dirty, cracked, unepoxied floors from this to this, which is the first major step in converting this storage unit into a proper shop. Now, thankfully, I've done this before, and my first time doing it was a big learning curve. So this time I know a little bit more of what I'm doing. The major key for epoxying your floors is to make sure the surface is prepped right. Now, a lot of people try to etch the concrete. Some people just try to primer it or clean it. The way I did it last time was grinding the top layer of the concrete off, and that worked fantastically. My Rust-Oleum rock solid epoxy floor has lasted pretty much perfectly for the past 2 years of daily use. And so I trust the concrete grinder. And so that's what we're gonna do in this space. There are a couple of downsides of grinding your floor. For one, it creates a lot of toxic dust. It's also quite expensive. But in terms of the toxic dust, since there are still storage units on either side of this space, we have to seal this space off so that the dust doesn't get into other people's spaces. And then after we grind the floors, we have to power wash the floors. And so obviously we don't want water to get into the other spaces. So the first step in this process is to seal this unit off. The top of the walls has a big open space where you can just look into the neighboring units. So we're gonna put some OSB up there, seal it with spray foam, caulk, try to get this unit as airtight as possible. Then we grind the floors, clean them, and epoxy them. So without any further ado, let's get started.
Oh, bro.
I mean, we can still use it, it's just gonna be 2 separate pieces now. So all the big holes are now filled with wood. We're gonna go through, spray foam the medium holes and caulk the small holes so that hopefully this wall is essentially airtight. Obviously it's not gonna be perfect, but it doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be good. The spray foam is up on all the cracks. It sealed up the wall nicely. Once that's dry, we will trim it down so it doesn't, look like bubbles in the corner, but that won't be for a little bit. And so we're going to work on this wall. This wall is a little different because it doesn't have wood going all the way up the metal. So we're gonna have to use much bigger sheets. It's gonna be heavier, a little bit more of a pain to work with, but the concept is very much the same. Well, that's the closest to airtight we're gonna get on this wall. The spray foam is done, the caulk is done. The only other thing we're gonna do is caulk the bottom of the wall, because obviously when you're painting, you wanna spray the floor with water. I know that place already floods because right here is a low spot, and after yesterday's rainstorm, it was full of water and it went under the wall into the other units. But figured we might as well try to seal it off anyway. Before we can do that, we're gonna go ahead clean this place. Dust off all the walls, vacuum all the cracks and crevices. Thankfully, unlike the other shop, this was not a mechanic shop that was abused by a mechanic who doesn't know how to clean up after themselves. This was just their storage facility. So there's a lot less junk in here that needs cleaning. No pits of oil, no cigarettes everywhere. Nice. There are spiders, but that's okay. So we got all the outside garbage, dirt, and debris cleared out. That's what it used to look like, with all the stuff in front. And like, look how nice and clean these are. And then you come over here. And honestly, as long as I like just sweep and vacuum this place once a month, I think it'll stay looking nice. And now, hopefully no gravel, dirt, or debris is gonna get into our epoxy floor as it dries. I also went ahead and cleaned out all these little areas. We're gonna spray foam that real quick, and then it's on to the next step. Man, I gotta say, with all these doors open, this place is sick. It's gonna provide an awesome crosswind in the summer for us too. We have all the doors open. Gotta stay nice and cool in here. But you know, all this talk about epoxy and floors, it's got me thinking, you know, just how a properly done epoxy can protect your floors. This video's sponsor, NordVPN, can protect you on the internet. A VPN, or virtual private network, is a service that protects your internet connection and privacy online. NordVPN does this by creating an encrypted tunnel for your data and protecting your online identity by hiding your IP address. But NordVPN is more than just a basic VPN. It has extra features like threat protection, which shields you from malware, trackers, and ads. It has a dark web monitor, which notifies you if someone leaks your credentials. It also allows you to access content you might not otherwise have access to. Say there's a show that's only available in Japan. Well, with NordVPN, you can say you're in Japan and then access Japanese shows. Audrey and I have really loved having more access to more animes, and I personally have really loved having access to like The Office on Netflix again. But arguably the best thing about NordVPN is that it's easy to use. You can access all those features with a single click, and it is privacy oriented, which means NordVPN doesn't track what you do online. Your traffic is always protected with a robust encryption, and you can turn on the kill switch to make sure that your data is never exposed. And all those are reasons why I love using NordVPN. It gives me an extra sense of safety using the internet, especially when my business and all my livelihood is based off the internet. If I got hacked or something, it'd be bad news. But if you guys are interested and you want to grab the exclusive NordVPN deal, which is a huge discount when you purchase a 2-year plan, and you can get an extra 4 months, you can go to nordvpn.com/Gingium, and you can try it risk-free with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Thank you very much to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. Let's finish this epoxy. I got a concrete grinder. I picked this bad boy up from Herc Rentals, which actually shout out to Herc Rentals. The people at Herc Rentals were super cool to deal with. They got this for me in less than 12 hours, and they gave me a free vacuum. Last time I just used my shop vac, and if you remember, I had to go through 3 of them. Guys, if you want to epoxy your floors, I recommend just grinding the concrete. The first time I wanted to epoxy the other shop, you know, we tried to power wash it, we tried to etch it, nothing worked, and in the end, saved a lot of time and money by just grinding the concrete. This machine is $280 to rent from Herc Rentals, but you also have to buy the bits, which were $300. So it was, you know, $600 to rent this, which is more expensive than the epoxy itself. But the $600 for this, plus the epoxy, still cheaper than paying someone to do it. Now the actual process of grinding the floor is pretty easy. Attach the vacuum to the grinder, start in the corner, work your way, just kind of wiggle it back and forth. Now the one thing is that each one of these machines is 17 amps, so I have to use 2 different circuits here. Thankfully, it does have quite a large extension cord. Okay, vacuum is connected. I got all my protection on. Don't want to breathe this stuff in. Let's give it a shot. Turn the vacuum on first. There's 2. chill, actually. It's actually going a little slower than the other machine I've used, but as you can tell, nice and, you know, before and after. Now, we got a lot of floor to do, friends. Well, almost 8 hours later, we have a ground floor. It's not perfect, as you can kind of see where it's gone deeper and where it hasn't. The tool I had for the grinder definitely wasn't aggressive enough. This concrete was harder than the people at Herc estimated. But that's all right. I think this will be plenty good for our epoxy. So tomorrow, we clean. The doors are open. It's a little chilly out. It's about to rain, which is the perfect time to use the pressure washer to wash the floors. So we're going to wet the floors, then pour degreaser all over it, scrub the floors, then rinse them. We're gonna do the same with the walls. Oh God, oh God. Oh yeah, baby. Well, we just got finished washing the place. You can probably hear all the rain, which it leaks a couple of spots. So those spots are gonna need to be hand washed tomorrow probably, which means we won't be able to epoxy tomorrow, but we're gonna put some fans up, let it dry. Concrete has to be super dry before you do epoxy. So hopefully we can do it tomorrow. Maybe we'll do it Sunday, maybe Monday, we'll see. So guys, we are ready to epoxy. So the way the epoxy works, you got your bag, that's two parts, part A, part B. Pop the seal between the two, and then you mix it up real good. So this officially starts the hardening process. So after you do this, you have an hour to apply it. Cut a corner off. And I'm gonna pour a little strip out. Now I'm gonna use this to do the edges, so on and so forth. Once I do the edges, then we roll it out and then we just work our way down. done. You can, like, once this dries, it's gonna be all one floor. Perfect. We're not gonna be able to see how it looks over there until tomorrow, but I think it went pretty well. And so 2 days later, it is dry, and here it is. It turned out pretty good. Definitely not perfect. Definitely not as good as the main space. I think the main issue is that we applied it a little bit too thin. There are some spots that you can see through to the concrete, which was definitely a mistake. And it stinks because we had some left over, so we could have done it thicker. But I guess that is a learning experience that we got lucky the first time. Now we know you have to apply it kind of thick. But besides that, it does look really good. There's no really other blemishes than just some thinness in some spots. Super shiny. It already has brightened up this place, made it less yellow, less just ugly and warm. Now all it needs is some fancy lights and fancy paint. I'm really happy with the way the bathroom area turned out. It didn't absorb into the wood perfectly, but it does now look all like one floor. So that's awesome. Man, it stinks though. The thinness bugs me in some spots because it's like, we spent all this effort and we just didn't apply enough. That's what we fucked up with. Obviously, only time is going to tell how it holds up, but if it's anything like the other shop, it's gonna hold up great. And this area is gonna get less abuse anyway, because it's mostly just gonna be parking, storage. The paint booth obviously will get abused a bit, but not over here. In the next video, we are going to build the paint booth, which means building a wall to separate it, putting the garage door up, painting the wall inside and outside the paint booth, and installing our fancy new lights, which are gonna be awesome. It's gonna be a paint booth, but it's also gonna be like a showroom, a great place to take thumbnails, to take cool cinematics. Very excited for that, but we are going to take a break on the shop redo and work on the Honda Fit first. It's time to turbo that thing. And if you wanna watch that video ahead of schedule and support the channel massively, please check out Patreon. Anyone who does that, I really appreciate it. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. The results are awesome. Hopefully you learned something. If you do wanna epoxy your own floors, rent a grinder, wash it nicely, let it dry enough, and apply it thick enough. If you have any questions, put them down in the comment section below. I will try to answer them. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.